G'day guys, today I'm going to be installing a water alarm kit on the Fuel Manager 30, which I've installed in this car as a pre-fuel filter. But the problem is you can't see it at all. You can't see the glass bowl at the bottom, so you never really know whether you got water in your diesel filter unless you take it out and remove it constantly just to check all the time. This water alarm add-on kit just adds a sensor to the bottom of the glass bowl. It detects water and it lets off an audible alarm. So in this video I'm just going to run through how to add this kit, and I'm just going to show you which fuse you can tap into that comes on and off with the ignition in the BT50s and Rangers of about 2015 year models. So I'll go through all the parts and the weights of everything, as well as how to install it and how to find a fuse to tap into that comes on and off with the ignition in this model of car. In the kit you get these tap fuse add-ins or out of circuit fuse taps, whatever you want to call them. There's a bunch of different sizes. This is the size I'll be using for the BT50. This is an indicator light, which is optional. You don't have to install that. In here, this is the bit that replaces the water cock at the bottom of the glass bowl. Now we've got this little control module here, which sounds the alarm. And this is our power harness that we'll be adding in as well. So using the tappy fuse to suit your make and model of car, you can install it in each of those and then test from here to the ground, changing the key to and from ignition until you find one that is 12 volts on ignition. For me, I can use these two fuses here. There might be more, but they're the first two that I found, and I'm going to use this one here. Now I haven't tested every fuse, but two that I found that did work was fuse 85 and 86, and that is for the instrument cluster. That's the one I tapped into, and 86 is for the airbag. So that's those two there, 85 and 86. So part of the reason this is so valuable is because here's our catch can here. I've got some extra electrical stuff powering all the stuff in the canopy. Down here, that's our fuel filter, the pre-fuel filter. This is the factory fuel filter here, and there's our pre-fuel filter. At the bottom of that is a glass bowl to check any water, and I just can't do it. I can't get to it, especially with the catch can in the way and the cabling as well. So what I'm going to do is cut all this off, possibly unbolting it completely and lifting it out, maybe even just pinching the fuel lines to lose as little fuel as possible. I've also got an oil pan roughly underneath the filter just to try and catch anything. Some diesel is going to come out, inevitably. It's just going to happen. Get an oil pan ready to put your filter in. I'm just removing accessories, the catch can hoses need to get moved out of the way. Now, the way that I've done this here, I've actually got the fuel lines connected still, and I've just inverted the filter because I had length on the fuel lines underneath. The theory was that I'd try and lose as little diesel as possible, but I actually don't recommend this method. I recommend just taking the fuel lines off, the incoming and outgoing. Here's the plug that we're replacing it with. You can see I've got the cable connected here. Again, that was just a mistake on my part. It's easier to screw in without the cable connected, obviously. Still, this way you can do it. Just do a quick changeover and put that connector on and then get the filter back in its position. You will not lose a full filter's worth of diesel, but having done it twice now, because I had a leak the first time, I recommend just taking the fuel lines off. You don't even need to pinch them, you won't lose a lot of diesel. Take the filter out, put it in the oil pan, and then work on the filter outside of the engine bay. Now just tidying everything up, putting the catch can lid back on, reconnecting all the hoses. So it was hard to get the camera in because I had diesel everywhere, but I basically managed to unbolt these two bolts here, and then I had enough length on the diesel hoses. One comes from the tank to here, the other one comes from here to the factory one. I had enough length just to get it ever so slightly upside down. I took off the little draining port and attached the cable one, and then I attached the cable clip to it. It's pretty easy to figure out which one goes in the bottom. Now we just need to run this through the firewall. There is a grommet down here somewhere. This is heat protection, so you can run it across the engine bay if you want. If I can't get through the grommet down here, which I've gone through before, there is another one over in the footwell, so I could run it across with the hoses from the catch can. I could tie it across and go through a grommet through the firewall on the other side. So on the passenger side, this is where the glove box sits. This is our cable. Just push the snake up and across behind the dash so I don't have to remove the dash, and just pulled it out on the other side there in the footwell, and then I'll just pull this cable through from the sensor, tying it to other cables to make sure it's not in the way of anything. This next bit's pretty easy. This is the module that gives the alarm. The plugs, there's 3 different styles of plugs, so you can't mix them up. Then we have our tappy fuse, tap into something with ignition power. This cable here will connect to the tappy fuse. That bare end will strip it back. This ring lug, that will go to an earthing point. There's one just behind this fuse panel that I'll show you in a second. The other end of that is one of those plugs. And we have this thing, which is optional. This is an indicator light, and you get a little warning sticker there that just says to check the water trap. Not too worried about the little decal going on either. This little earth ring lug I will connect just up here. You can see those earth lugs there. I'm just going to add it onto there. That is straight onto the chassis. Now with the indicator light, it's an 8mm hole, so I'm just going to mount it here. Feed this end here in first, but take the lock ring off, because then the lock ring comes on the other side and pinches that to whatever you mount it to. We do have a spare switch here on the far left, but I can't be bothered mounting it there and taking all the dash off and everything like that. I'm just going to keep it simple out of the way and put it next to this switch here. So that's basically it now. Just got to tidy these up with tape or cable ties, plug them into here and cable tie this up as well. I've got the earth connection on that lug. I've crimped this. I'm not sure why they don't give you a larger bit of cable here. That's a blue crimp, but this cable's too small for it, so crimp it at the smaller setting, which is your red crimp size. So this is all safe to work on because there's no power until we can connect up to here. As far as that decal goes, I could have put it on, I guess. Just don't know if I care enough. So the unit is just tucked away up there. I've just added the tappy fuse to the 5th one up. Just going to turn the key to accessories, hold it for about 30 seconds, do that a few times just to reprime that fuel filter because some diesel did come out. Might hear a little beep or something. I'm not turning the car on, just trying to get some fuel pumping through the fuel filters. And there is also a beep sound when I turn to accessories. That is this verifying itself as working. It is quite hard to see in there, but so just give everything a once over. Make sure there's no diesel dripping anywhere, especially after you start it, and run it for a little bit. Now I can't hear any more of that liquid sound, so I think the car should be good to start now. Alright, that's it for the fuel filter alarm system. That's all done and working. Not too bad a job, especially using those tap fuses, makes it a little bit quicker and simpler. Definitely check your system afterwards. I had a very slow leak that was dripping down the chassis onto the floor, and I had to take the whole thing apart again. Ended up doing a filter change. Haven't filmed it because I was in a bit of a rush, but what I think it was I might have accidentally twisted the filter in the housing. It is keyed, so it's only meant to go in one way, so I might have inadvertently twisted it a little bit, or there might have been some dirt and grime in between the rubber seals. There's the top section with the locking ring, the filter itself, the glass bowl, and then there is another seal where the plug goes in. I did take it all apart and I cleaned everything, tightened everything up. I had a spare filter lying around. This is it here. Part number will be on the screen. There'll be a link in the description. I recommend just doing a filter change while you've got everything out of the car and you're doing the water sensor alarm. Just change the filter at the same time so you don't have to go back to it for a long time. The easiest way to access it is just take the hoses off the Provent if you have the catch can in the same spot, and then disconnect your fuel lines. It doesn't actually leak much diesel at all. There's more diesel in the filter itself. And then unbolt the filter from the bracket, which is a bit of a pain because of the access. Remove the whole thing and then connect your cable outside, drop it back in the car. All right, that's it for this one. Should only be about 2 hours work if you don't have a leak. Now we'll just jump to the end screen with the build, cost and weights. I've also done a few jobs here and there. I've altered things inside. I've removed a lot of rubber matting and stuff, so the weights on the end screen might be a little bit different. They'll be lower because I've tried to remove weight where possible. I've played around with the tie down rails, shortened them. I've added in some random eye bolts and stuff like that. So all the weight changes at the end screen, that's what that is in relation to. because I don't want to. This water alarm add-on will, this lock ring locks it to the, so you feed the other, or I might, this is it here, part number. I recommend just doing a filter change while you're fitting your filter. You might notice